Have you ever wanted to take pictures of a stranger? Well, I'm going to show you what it's like, and I'm going to try and give you any kind of tips or hints or anything that I can give along the way so you can have a better experience. Me and my wife went on an adventure. We just got back from the Salt Flats. What I didn't expect was to do a photo shoot there, so I didn't bring any of my lighting equipment or anything with me. All I had was my camera and my action camera. So I'm going to show you the quick interaction between me and a stranger where I gave him an impromptu photo shoot, and I'm going to show you how I would edit it. There's not much to edit, but let's see if we can do something special with it. Here's the entire interaction. So how it happened was I saw a guy stopped at the Bonneville Salt Flats on his motorcycle. He was getting off of his motorcycle and taking pictures of it. I rolled the window down and I just asked, "Hey, you look awesome. Can I take some pictures of you?" And of course he said yes in this case. But if they say no, it's fine. Just move on to the next thing. They don't have time or they don't want to have their picture taken, and that's okay. So just keep in mind that not everyone's going to say yes. So here's the entire interaction real quick. It only lasts 4 minutes, so here, have a look. Now let's just jump into the computer and take a look at how I edited everything. But I kept the edits really simple. The environment, the guy, everything looked amazing already. So I tried to get as good as I could in the camera. So I did bracket and then just chose the best frame from the bracket to edit. It was a really simple edit. So let's just take a look. Here are the 3 images that I'm going to show you how I edited today. But we're just going to quickly go into this and reset to default. I am in Adobe Camera Raw today. So if you're wondering, it looks exactly the same in Lightroom. All the same functions, you can do the same things. So first thing I'm going to do is just come up here and do adaptive color. It may take a little bit depending on your computer. And then from there, we're just going to do some basic adjustments. So I'm going to turn the highlights down. I'm going to turn the shadows up. I'm going to turn the whites up because the salt flats are pretty bright. They're not as bright as you would think, but they do have a little bit of a shine to them. And then just turn the blacks down to bring the contrast back. I am going to bring the temperature up just a little bit. And then from there, we're just going to do some quick color grading. I'm going to skip all of this and go all the way down to the bottom. This is going to only be in Lightroom Classic and not in Lightroom CC, so just keep that in mind if you're using CC. So with the calibration tool, I'm going to bring the blue primaries down a little bit just to bring out a little bit of that orange in the suit. This is just pure aesthetics. It's not the exact color of his suit, but I think it looks fine. And I'm going to turn up the saturation just a little bit as well. Just play with the little green tabs down here and maybe make this just a little bit more on the yellow side for the greens. Now, if I wanted to, I could take the shadows and make them a little bit warmer. So I'm going to do that. And then if I wanted to do midtones or highlights, I could do that in here as well. But this is pretty much the entire edit. Like I said, there wasn't much to it. So with something like this, if you wanted to bring the subject out, you could come in here and do a brush and then mask in something real quick. With the brush tool, you just kind of go over the areas you want to highlight. So in this case, I'm doing the darker areas. You could also do luminosity masking, but then sometimes you will get some of the mountains and other things you may not want. So with that, I'm just going to raise up the exposure just a little bit. Now this is different than if you did subject select. That would be a global on the actual subject, and I could show you the quick difference there. So I'm going to hide this just by right clicking, and then I'm going to click select subject. And this is going to select out the entire subject, and then you could bring him out more, but I didn't want to bring out the entirety of the subject. I just wanted to bring out these little dark spots because you get that wrap around the subject from the sun already, and we're getting some bounce light from the bottom of the salt flats onto him, so it's got great shadows. We just needed to bring out some from the middle, and here's the difference. So I'm just going to turn this little eye off on that. I'm going to turn this on, and then I'm just going to go back and forth. So with this on, you could tell like the shadows inside of his helmet and things like that look a little bit too bright, and you could adjust it, but with this, it's just the shadows more on his chest and areas. Now, this was a basic edit. Let's go over just real quick what we could have done better. As you could tell, this was just a very fast session. I didn't have any lights or scrims or any kind of 5-in-1 reflectors, none of that. So it's just a guy, a camera, and then another guy. The thing that I could have done better on some of these is if I would have moved him over, or not moved him over, if I would have moved over just a little bit to put it inside this gap better, I feel like that composition would have been better. But I'm leaving room, you know, top and bottom about the same, and then I'm doing around a 4/3 on the composition, but this is the full frame of it. And then same thing on this one. I just wanted to show if you got him perfectly in line with the sun, we are not at a good time of day. So this is not the most prime time. There is no shade, there is nothing. There is nothing out here. So you gotta work with what you have. And then with this, I was trying to show you that you could just do the bike below the horizon, but then he's going to be above the horizon and things like that. And then the final shot for him, I think, would be the best for the composition on that. I'm just scrolling through real quick to find it, which is this one, where I put him in the actual mountain. So everything is under the horizon, and the one thing that's above the horizon is actually matching the mountain. And so it gives you a nice, good matchup and flows with everything real well. So with one of the things that you could do, since this is such a clean image, let's take a look at this real quick. Now, if you were to try and do some type of artistic thing with this, I have a lot of latitude on the dynamic range of this. And so if I wanted to turn this down and then turn my white balance down because I've shot this in RAW, we can make this look like it's a nighttime shot. And so if you wanted to, this could very well be photographed by moonlight and I don't think anybody would be able to tell. And so if you wanted to add in some glow or anything like that inside here, you could. So if we did, say, select subject and then did a linear gradient or some type of luminosity masking on him to get rid of just the shadow parts and only bring out the highlights, we could do a cool little glow effect. So with luminosity range turned on and selecting just the darker parts of him, so now we have just the bright spots lit up. And so if we bring in some different colors or different things, we can just mess with just the highlights. And so with that, we can also mask in a gradient, and we're going to do just a ball of light just to show you could do something cool. And so I'm going to do a radial gradient, and then we're going to do something like this right here, where this kind of comes over him a little bit and then onto the ground. So this is going to be just the haze. So this is just a little bit, and then another one. This is going to be lighting up the ground alone. So we're thinking this is, where the ground is. And then we're going to bring the slide up. We're going to make it orange. So this is representing the light that's coming out on him. And then we are going to light up just directionally him a little bit more. So we're going to bring in another radial gradient. But for this one, we're going to focus on just the subject. So I'm going to do a linear gradient to take away what we're doing to him. And then we're just going to make him just a little bit brighter. And so from there, if you were to just do just this, and then bring it into Photoshop and just add a sphere in the middle of this frame, it's going to look like there was a glowing orb on him. So if we do our selection tool, and then I am just going to fill this in with white. We've just made the illusion of a glowing orb in the desert lighting up somebody at night. Artistic. You could do anything you want, anything you can set your mind to. This is just a real quick example. Now, this isn't perfect. There's some things that you could do to make this better, but it's just an example of just something real quick that you could do artistically in this situation. So let your mind be free and ask me any question you want. Put it in the comments down below. I'll answer any questions. Yeah. Hopefully you like this really quick tutorial on how to photograph a stranger. Now, make sure you don't ruin the trust and you send to this person pictures with your info. Maybe they want to work with you in the future. Who knows? So I'm going to send these to the spaceman, is what I'm calling him. And everyone, like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.